Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be looking at the top 10 best tames for beginners in Ark Survival Evolved. This list is only from personal experience and you may have different opinions. If you have other suggestions for good tames for beginners, then leave it in the comment section below. And without further ado, let's get into the video. At number 10 we have the Pteradon, or the Pteranodon. Now, this list isn't completely in order, but in my opinion the Pteranodon is one of the best tames to start off with. With a decent level Pteranodon, it can take you pretty much anywhere, and he's still great in PvP with his barrel roll and speed. It's tameable by meat, prime, etc. His kibble is regular kibble, which is pretty easy to make at early stages. These are very easy to knock out. They take one baller and a few tranks to knock out, and depending on the level you can even use a club and even a slingshot. You'll need around 3 trank arrows for a high level Pteranodon, and it can also carry small dinos and plays as well. This is probably the first flyer you will tame when playing Ark. At number 9 we have the Parasaur / Trike. I've put both tames in here as they pretty much do the same for a beginner. Both tames are great for berry collecting and can help you gather narco berries to enable you to make more tranks and tame dinos that take you to the next level. The Parasaur is easy to tame and can be ballered and tranked. A Trike gathers more berries but takes more tranks and is harder to tame. I do recommend you shoot it in the body as the head takes less torpor and damage because of its skull. It is also great in PvP aspects. The Trike can even soak bullets with its skull if it is a decent level if you want to get into the PvP aspects of the Trike. Now, Parasaur is easy to tame but gathers less berries. The Trike is harder to tame but gathers more berries, and overall they both do the same thing. Now you will need a berry collector earlier on, as you can collect more narco berries to make more tranks and to get onto the next level. Now at number 8 we have the Doedic. The Doedic is quite easy to tame. I would recommend you aim for the head as it has an outward shell which takes less damage than torpor, and the more health it loses the more likely it is to roll up into a ball where it is basically impossible to knock out. Now the Doedic is great at gathering stone. You need stone in almost every aspect of Ark, for building and for things such as spark powder. Now you do need a lot of stone when building. Most things do need stone to build, so this is one of the best tames to do so. It also has an automatic system where it can automatically gather stuff, but that mechanic's kind of broken, so I don't know how reliable that is. Now at number 7 we have the Anky. Now the Anky probably could be higher up on this list as it does a number of things. It's mainly good for getting metal, and it halves the weight of the metal so it's easy to carry. It can be picked up by an RG again and any bigger tame. It also gathers flint from stone, and also gathers stone when hitting a metal rock. It's good for flint runs and metal runs, and also has a lot of health, and I do recommend you level up melee to gather more materials. It is easily tamed, does take a while on official stats, it is good to use kibble. Its saddle takes metal ingots, but it's quite easy, only around 5 metal ingots to make the saddle. As well as this, it can also gather crystal. It also halves the weight of most materials that you can find. The Anky can be used to its best ability, mainly by 2 players. If you have one riding the tame that can hold it, while the other is on the Anky swinging. This means that you don't need infinite amounts of weight, and it can do it anyway. It means that you can put all your levels into melee and not bother about the weight. Which leads on to number 6, which is the Argentavis. The Argentavis is used by most Ark players and is the best for grinding and gathering materials. It can pick up the Doedic and the Anky and most medium tames. Now with one player riding the RG and the other player sitting on the Anky or Doedic, you can gather materials without stopping. Now obviously if you're solo you can pick up the Anky or the Doedic and drop it on top of where you want to gather materials. The Argentavis also has a great amount of stamina and health and melee. It's quite a bulky flyer, but its only downside is it's slow. You'll also find this flyer up in the mountains with the Ankys and stuff like that, and the crystal and the metal. To tame the RG, I do recommend you make a trap. There's plenty of traps on YouTube, but they're pretty basic. Now once you've trapped it, you need around 30 tranks to 25 tranks for a really good level. And once you've done that, you can tame it with kibble, prime or raw meat. Now at number 5 we have the Megatherium. This might be a strange one to you because you might not know much about the Megatherium, but in my opinion the Megatherium is really useful. First of all, it's great at gathering chitin. You can run many swamp caves with it, and it's also great for leveling up. If you want to go more advanced, you can go into the swamp cave on the island and level up that way. The Megatherium has vast amounts of health and weight and melee. Once it fights an insect or bug, it gets a buff which allows it to become stronger and fight almost anything. It is really good at fighting the bosses such as the Brood Mother. It's also just a great dino to tame for protection and for stuff like that. It's just a strong dino in general. They are quite difficult to tame though. You do need to trap them and they are quite powerful. But once you've trapped them, you need a decent amount of tranks and berries to tame them, or kibble. Now this tame might be more advanced, but I thought I'd include it in the beginner's guide anyway, as I think it's a pretty good dino. Now at number 4 we have the Mostrops. This might be a little bit down the list, but the Mostrops is great mainly at gathering polymer, organic polymer. If you were to kill something like a penguin or a mantis, they drop something called organic polymer, and the Mostrops is the best at gathering that. It gathers hundreds of polymer, which is great at making advanced weapons and stuff like that. Polymer is quite a hard resource, especially when to make hard poly you need cemented paste and obsidian. So to get it organically it's much easier. Now the Mostrops is a passive tame, it's more of a weird tame, and each Mostrops needs a certain amount of items to tame. One Mostrops might want honey, the other might want rare flowers. But they're pretty easy to tame once you get the materials for it. They don't need a saddle to ride, but aren't very good in any other aspect apart from gathering polymer. They will get killed easily by most tames on the Ark. Now for number 3, I thought I'd include something that's not part of early Ark, something part of a DLC. Well, 2 actually. The bloodstalker / maewing. Now, both these tames are put on number 3 as they're similar in the beginner aspects. The maewing is easy to tame and one of the fastest flyers to use. The maewing came out with Genesis 2 and is used by most Ark players to get around the map the quickest way. Also a bloodstalker, they are quite easy to tame for beginners. All you need is blood packs and to be grabbed by one, and it's a passive tame. Now bloodstalkers are really good for PvP and for getting around the map. The maewing is better for just getting around the map, but the maewing is much quicker. So I thought I'd include those 2 dinos in this position as they have a similar capability for beginners. Now at number 2 I've decided to put the Baryonix. Now this is more of an advanced dino. It is great for swimming and going for drops. It's also great for doing caves. It can fit in most crannies and caves where you need to find tribute. Now a decently level Baryonix can take down more stuff in caves such as bats, spiders and scorpions, and it is generally fast. The Baryonix eats fish meat and kibble to be tamed. It's quite easy to tame. All you need is a trap, similar to the RG. You can trap it and trank it out. Now you don't actually fully need a trap, but it's easy to do so. Which finally leads us on to number 1. Now this list isn't necessarily in order, but this is one of the best tames for beginners. Now this is probably one of the most difficult as well to tame on the list. It's the Therizino. Now the Therizinosaurus is known for gathering most materials. It can gather loads of fibre, thatch, wood and berries. It's also great for PvP. If you want to gather vast amounts of wood, this dino can do so. If you want to gather a vast amount of fibre, this dino can do so. And if you want to gather berries, this dino can do so. The Therizino is difficult to tame though, taking a lot of tranks and most definitely a trap. When this dino is tranked out though, its torpidity or torpor goes down drastically. You need to keep topping it up with narcoberries or narcotics to keep it asleep. And it does take a long while to tame. You can tame it with berries, but with kibble it can be a lot quicker. And the Therizino also does vast amounts of damage. Its melee is really good and its health. The Therizino can take down most things such as Rexes and so forth. And as a beginner tame it is excellent if you do manage to tame it. One thing to add when you do find them on the map is they're very territorial. If you go near one they will just randomly attack you, and they can easily just knock you out by headbutting you or take you out by slashing you with their long claws. So that is why you will need a trap and why it's one of the most difficult to tame. But that is where I do leave the top 10. If you did enjoy, or if you have other suggestions, leave it down in the comment section. And I really do hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.